Harrison Phillips is kind enough to join us now. He plays for the team now, and he is giving us a minute or two after practice. Harrison, welcome to the Fan. Thanks for giving us a minute or two this afternoon.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, tell me a little bit about your reaction. I know you guys were kind of over in the bleachers listening to the big announcement, and Jared spoke to you guys a little bit. How well do you know the Jared Allen legacy, and what did he have to say that caught your attention?
Yeah, I mean, any fan of football knows Jared Allen, and he's had an incredible career. Very surreal to be growing up watching him play, and then to be here as he's inducted into the the Ring of Honor here in Minnesota, the team that I'm playing for. So it's cool to see things come full circle. Big congratulations to him. His message was incredible. Very well spoken man. I obviously don't have any personal relationship with him prior to today, but very, very well spoken man, and obviously worked hard for the future Hall of Fame career that he has now. And, really cool to be here for this.
Tell me how you're getting acclimated with your new club. You're coming from a very successful club, obviously. You're in a new place. There's obviously a new coaching staff. A lot of things are new here. How is it going for you thus far?
It's a lot. I mean, to come in as a free agent in any organization is a lot to take in. But I couldn't be more excited and happy for how the organization has accepted me and our other free agents. I think Coach is doing this the right way and has shown, he's all in on winning now as best as we can. Me individually, obviously trying to learn the playbook. This is a different play style to what I did in Buffalo. And just learning, 3-4 scheme, a little bit different, hand placement, aiming points, stuff like that. So, even like Jared was saying in his talk to us as vets, you kind of have a process you have to go through in training camp, and I'm just trying to figure out that early stage process of stance, start, reading my keys, that type of stuff for this first week, and then we'll progress as camp goes on in the preseason.
You mentioned about the switch from the 4-3 that you're accustomed to, and I guess that's always my question here, is that whether we get too hung up on those sorts of changes or if they're pretty significant, because to a degree, there's a part of me that says football is football, and if you're good at what you do, you're good at what you do. But obviously there are differences. There are some things that you have to adjust to, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, any individual, I'll just use myself, but I don't want to sound selfish. Like if Harrison Phillips was to go out here and play football the way that Harrison Phillips thinks he could in the best way, Harrison Phillips would have a good game, right? But you have to be a team player. So I'm not out there saying this is the best way that Harrison Phillips can perform or the best way that this player can play this position or play this block. I have to do what the defense calls for us to do. So even if that's maybe not my best way that I could play the block, that's the way that the defense calls for the block to be played. And so there's some selflessness in the position, and there were some things in the 4-3 that I was in Buffalo that weren't to my strength, but I had to adapt and say this is what the defense calls for, and reverse to a 3-4. Hey, not every single thing is exactly the way that I'd want to play every single block and every single defense, but you have to make certain sacrifices for the greater part of the defense. There's some things in this so far that we've put in that I absolutely love and think that we can be very productive through. And there's other things that say, hey, this is a tougher part for me. I have to learn and grow in this space, and this is where our linebackers are going to make more play, or for our secondary and things like that. So learning the whole defense and complexity of all of it so I can understand it more holistically will help out too.
New Vikings defensive lineman Harrison Phillips kind enough to join us this afternoon on the Fan. It's no secret that the Vikings defense took a significant step back the last couple of years, and one of the biggest issues was defending the run. As I understand it, and as I've watched, that's one of the strengths that you bring to the table. Give us sort of your own self-analysis about that aspect of the game and how you approach it.
Well, to be honest with you, I know that I've been a little bit locked in that box or labeled as that as such, and I do pride myself in that, because the reason why I took the run so serious, especially in high school and the college level, was because I wanted to rush the passer. And so in order to get to rush the passer, what do you got to do? You got to stop him on first and second down, especially at the high school level. And so starting through the young time, my favorite thing was chasing quarterbacks and getting on an edge and running and running and running. But you got to be stout in the run first. So that's where I started breaking down film and working with my stance and getting as strong as I could in the weight room so that I could knock it out on, so now it's 2nd and 10, now it's 3rd and 11, and go rush after the passer. And then college, same thing, is I was really, really stout on that 1st and 2nd down so I could earn to be out there on the 3rd down. Now in the NFL, you get a little bit more individualized. There's just only 3rd down players. There's only nickel players, only dime players. There's only penny players. There's just a whole bunch of, we have a lot of talent at this level. But at the end of the day, I said that, my motivator to be great at the run was to get the opportunity to go rush. And so now, bigger scheme to win a Lombardi, if I got to be the run guy so that these rushers can go out there and get huge sacks and help us win games, that's fine. But, I pride myself in the run, but come on now, who doesn't like rushing after quarterbacks?
Well, to your point, too, I mean, it's no secret that for a lot of quarterbacks, the kind of rush that they have the most difficulty coping with is the rush up the middle, right? It's the interior rush that can that sort of physicality can really be the thing that affects quarterbacks, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you have the most direct path to the quarterback is the guy lined up right in front of him. So, if most offensive lines try to set the depth of the pocket, and with the edge rushers that we have here, if we can create depth, they're going to have an incredible season. So, when I do get those opportunities, I hope that my, label as being more of a run, stronger, power rusher, hopefully that helps our defense when I am out there, even if it's not as fancy. If you're 6-7 yards in the backfield, somebody's got to come through clean.
How did you end up in Minnesota?
Through the most stressful couple days of my entire life, but they were very rewarding. I guess there's really one day of free agency. There's some stuff going on with the Bills a couple days beforehand, but yeah, I mean, that Monday, I think there was 13 teams or so that were all in the mix, and then just kind of process of elimination. And I'm researching different cities and different coaching trees and different defenses, different players on the team, different rosters, different state income taxes. I mean, I'm doing everything that I could possibly do. And when I had, watched some interviews of Kwesi and Coach O'Connell and saw the way that they were talking and the win now mindset of what we're doing here, the money stuff kind of became irrelevant. Obviously, you need to make sure you take care of yourself on the language of the contracts and things like that. But there was other teams that had, bigger, other contracts out there. But this was definitely the place I wanted to be.
Buffalo, you had individual success. You had that was a really fun team to watch from afar. Obviously, a team still in really good shape. Were you frustrated, or was any part of you discouraged by the fact that you weren't able to put something together to stay there?
Yeah, I mean, if you can just think about it as an individual, from the day I got drafted in April of 2018 until literally the day before free agency, I never thought I'd ever leave the city of Buffalo. I thought I'd be a Bill my entire life, and I think every player has that mindset. Right now, I think I'm going to retire a Viking in 8 years, 12 years, whatever it is. So that's just the mindset that you have to have. And then from it to find out that it wasn't going to work out there and the value that they saw me at compared to where all these other teams saw me at, it was kind of heartbreaking. But like I kind of shared to the media when I agreed to terms here, is like, that was a part of me that it was a great part, and it was sad when it was ripped away. But there's a big bright light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm standing in it right now in this beautiful stadium.
Last item for you. You're a Nebraska kid, right? How did you end up at Stanford?
A lot of influence from my family, but I knew that academics was a big part to me. Mm-hmm. Never knew how much of reality a defensive end from Omaha, Nebraska playing in the NFL would get to one day. And so I wanted to make sure that I had a good plan B with an education. And now luckily football's taken me far enough that maybe I don't ever have to use that degree down the road. But that was kind of the decision.
And you loved it there at Stanford?
I loved my teammates there and football out there. I learned a lot while I was there, for sure.
Thanks so much for the time. Hope we can catch up again. We appreciate you giving us a few minutes this afternoon.
No problem. Thanks.